Today we'll see about the surge impedance loading and the Ferranti effect. First we'll see about the surge impedance. As we all know, the characteristics impedance of the line per unit length is defined as ZC equal to it is root of it is Z by Y. So the unit of this characteristics impedance is it is ohm. So the Z we can write it as R plus J omega L and Y we can write it as a G plus J omega C, where R is nothing but resistance per unit length and omega L is nothing but inductive reactance per unit length and G is nothing but shunt conductance per unit length and omega C is nothing but capacitive reactance per unit length. So the characteristics impedance at the lossless line is nothing but call it as it is a surge impedance. So lossless line means you have to take R value as a 0 and G value as a 0. So by the time we'll get the equation as it is root of it is J omega L divided by it is a J omega C. So the J omega get cancelled, get it is root of L by C. So this term is multiplied with the entire line length. So that is the length of the transmission line. We are considering it as a X here. So it will become it is L into X divided by it is C into X. So the L into X is nothing but it is a capital L and C into X is nothing but it is a capital C. So the root of L by C is nothing but it is a Z naught. So the characteristics impedance of a lossless line is called it is a surge impedance, or we can say it is a natural impedance of the line. Next is the surge impedance loading. We know for the long transmission line, the inductor and the capacitor will be distributed throughout the entire line length. So the transmission line will have an inductor and the capacitor, correct? So when line is charged, the capacitive component generates a VAR, that is a volt ampere reactive. This VAR generated by the capacitance will be consumed by the inductor. So the generated VAR will be consumed by the inductive component in a long transmission line. So if you are balancing these two reactive power, that is a capacitive VAR will be equal to your inductive VAR. So the reactive power generated by the capacitance will be consumed by the inductor. So we can write it as a V square by XC will be equal to it is I square into XL. From this we can find out V by I will be equal to that is root of it is XC into XL. Already we know XC is nothing but 1 by omega C. So omega we can write 2 pi F. So it is 1 by 2 pi F into C. If you are multiplying with L, L is nothing but your length of the transmission line. Again here XL will be equal to it is 2 pi into FL. Again we are multiplying with your length of the transmission line. Here we are considering it as a small l. So if you are substituting here, XC is nothing but it is 1 by 2 pi FC into L, correct? Similarly XL, if you are substituting 2 pi F into L. So here 2 pi F and L will get cancelled. So we'll get the term it is root of it is L by C. So this is nothing but call it as it is a surge impedance, that is Z naught is nothing but it is a surge impedance. So here we are having this electrical quantity, that is V by I, it is a electrical quantity has the dimension of electrical resistance. So that is surge impedance, that is Z naught equal to it is root of it is L by C. And if you are considering the purely resistive load is connected at the receiving end of the line, so the reactive power generated by the capacitance will be equal to reactive power consumed by the inductive component. So thereby we'll have a lossless line. So if you are saying that it is a surge impedance loading is nothing but the power delivered by a line to a purely resistive load, that value equal to its surge impedance. So it is in unit of surge impedance loading is it is watts or megawatt. So that is the load at which the inductive and the capacitive reactive volt amperes are equal and opposite. That is nothing but it is a surge impedance loading, that we can call it as a SIL. So here it is the power delivered by a line to a purely resistive load equal to its surge impedance. So the SIL is, that is surge impedance loading, is power delivered by a line to a purely resistive load. So we are considering P naught as the natural load of the line per phase. So per phase we are finding out. So P naught equal to is VI into cos phi. So it is a purely resistive load. So cos phi value is 1. So here P naught equal to is V into I. So I we can write as a V by it is Z naught. So it is V squared by Z naught. It is watts per phase. So line voltage will be VL equal to root 3 times it is a phase voltage. So if we are considering for the 3-phase system, so here the power will be multiplied into 3 times, guys. So 3 into P naught will be equal to 3 into V squared by Z naught. So here V we are writing in terms of phase voltage. So VL by root 3 the whole square divided by Z naught. So root 3 the whole square become 3. So it will get cancelled. We'll get it as VL square divided by it is Z naught. It is watts, correct? So here the receiving end voltage will be in kV. So it is kilovolt the whole square divided by Z0. So SIL it is in megawatt. So here if you are seeing here, that is surge impedance loading is independent of the line, and it is depending on the voltage, correct. And here if you are seeing, the voltage V and L are in the same phase at all the points. So such condition, the line will be terminated at the surge impedance having a lossless line. So that is a purely resistive. If we are considering the line due to line loss, so the supply voltage will be, that is Vs will be greater than your VR, correct. So if there is no line losses, so the balancing the two reactive component, so the line becomes a lossless line. So by the time we'll have Vs will be equal to VR. So that is nothing but it is a flat voltage profile. But here is the power delivered by a line to a purely resistive load we are considering here. So that is surge impedance. So and again here the surge impedance loading is mainly used to predict the maximum loading capacity of the transmission line. Next one is the Ferranti effect. So here we are considering here Vs. So Vs will have a higher potential and VR will have a lower potential. So whenever the potential difference is existing, so there will be a current will be flowing from higher potential to the lower potential, correct. So because of the line losses in the transmission line, so here Vs will be greater than your VR. So if you are considering at a light load or no load condition, if you are considering in the long transmission line, your VR will be greater than Vs. So that is nothing but your Ferranti effect. So at no load, the receiving end voltage exceeds the sending end voltage. So that is nothing but call it as it is a Ferranti effect. So in the long transmission line, the inductor and the capacitor will be distributed throughout the entire length. So these two components are the main responsible for the Ferranti effect. So the Ferranti effect occurs when the current drawn by the capacitance is greater than the current drawn by the load at the receiving end. That is nothing but it is a Ferranti effect at light load or no load condition. So if the current drawn by the capacitance is the charging current, so the charging current is more than the current associated at the receiving end, then we can see the Ferranti effect. So this charging current of the capacitor is responsible for this voltage drop across the inductor, because at no load, or if you are removing the load here, no current will be flow from this source. From the Is will be, it is a 0 here. So this capacitance generates VAR. So this charging current causes a drop across the resistor and the inductor. So this drop will be in phase with the sending end voltage. For example, if you are considering voltage drop across here, that is if you are considering it is IC into X, so this will be in phase with the sending end voltage. So if you are considering subsequently if you are moving towards the load end, so we'll have a X1, X2, X3 will have a different inductance value, correct. So if you are considering the drop, that is IC into X1 plus X2 plus X3, if you are adding all this drop, all will be in phase with your sending end voltage. So that is Vs will be less than your VR. So here we are getting that at no load condition, VR is greater than your Vs here. So that effect is nothing but call it as it is a Ferranti effect. So this we can see from this phasor diagram here. So we are considering VR as a reference here, correct. And then this IC, the current will be leads this voltage VR by an angle 90 degrees. So we are drawing here, this is your IC, and this drop if you are drawing, that is IC into R and IC into X, correct. So the IC into R, that the resistive drop will be in phase with your current phasor, that is IC, correct. So here we have drawn parallel here, so it is IC into R, and this IC into XL will be perpendicular to this resistive drop. So we are drawing here, if you are adding here, we'll get the total impedance. So the Vs is nothing but what, this VR plus this drop here, correct. So here if you are adding this VR plus this drop, if you are adding, we'll get Vs. So from this what we are seeing is here the Vs is less than your VR here under a unloaded condition, that is a no load condition. So this effect is known as it is a Ferranti effect.